Hello, this is Roland. I want to continue talking about intuition today. I said that intuition is protection. I gave the example of, let's say you're taking a college class in the evening. It ends at 9:30. At 9:30 you leave class. It's dark. It's wintertime. You always take a shortcut through the alley to get to where your car is parked. But tonight, when you get to that alley, you can't go down the alley. Something is stopping you. There's some reason why you shouldn't go down that alley. You don't know what it is, but you're getting some kind of a hunch and intuition, so you don't go down the alley. And you're safe. Who knows what was lurking in that alley? Okay? You followed your intuition. You're safe. People like Moses, Albert Einstein, people like that follow their intuition. Isaac Newton, they follow their intuition. Listen to what Albert Einstein has to say about intuition. Albert Einstein says, "The intellect has little to do on the road to discovery. There comes a leap in consciousness, call it intuition or what you will. And the solution comes to you, and you don't know how or why." That's Albert Einstein. That's intuition. Okay? He followed his intuition. So then I went on to say that, so intuition is a protection. And it's also the doorway to success for entrepreneurs, true scientists, people like Albert Einstein, for example. People who found businesses, people like Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple Computer. He talks a lot about intuition. So let me give you a little short primer on intuition. God gave animals instinct. The beaver knows how to build a dam. The robin knows how to build a nest. Okay? How do they know? Well, they have their instinct. God gave it to them, so they just know how to do what they're supposed to do. But what about humans? God gave humans intuition. Okay? Now, some other words for intuition. Intuition is what you know in your heart. It's what you know deep down. It's like a gut level knowing. It's like wordless. Okay? It's like a hunch. That's intuition. It's wordless. You just know something. Now, another word for intuition is conscience. They're the same thing. But intuition is present sight and foresight. Present sight, foresight. Conscience is hindsight. See, you have this, there's this light. There's this light. And when you are close to your intuition, you see things in the light. You just see. Okay? For example, I've given this example probably thousands of times over the years. You're walking down the sidewalk, and all of a sudden there's a big hole in the sidewalk. Great big hole. Somebody's changing sewer pipes or something. There's a big, deep hole. So what do? Well, you just walk around the hole. It doesn't take any kind of analysis or some kind of an involved thought process. You just see the hole and you walk around it. It's that simple. So you can also call it common sense. That's right, common sense. Have you noticed that some people have common sense and some don't? And that'll lead us into the discussion of what blocks intuition. But I just want to continue by saying that conscience is when you don't follow your intuition. Then your conscience, see, it still pursues you, but now it wants to rub your nose in it a little bit so you can see that you made a mistake, which is good for you, because if you see the mistake, then you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you realize that you blew it, you said the wrong thing, or you spent too much money, or you bought the wrong thing, or whatever. You see it, and then you're the wiser for it. Intuition. Now, what blocks intuition? So, intuition. Okay, first of all, you're going to get opposition. Here's another thing Albert Einstein had to say about intuition. He said, great spirits have always found violent opposition from mediocre minds. The latter cannot understand it when a person does not thoughtlessly submit to hereditary prejudices, but honestly and courageously uses their intelligence. Okay? So as soon as you you follow your intuition, you're going to have opposition. Okay? So you can expect that. But then it's a good test for you to follow your intuition anyway. What you know in your heart. Okay? Do what's right. Now, I want to talk more about intuition. Okay? So what blocks intuition? I already discussed that, but I'll go over it quickly one more time. See, okay, first of all, you've been taught all the wrong things. You haven't been taught about intuition. Yeah, sometimes there's some mention made of intuition or some mention made of creativity, but usually they get it wrong. Most of the time they get it wrong. They focus on what do they focus on? They focus on imagination. Imagination has its purpose. Okay? God gave us imagination. But first comes intuition. See, Albert Einstein, he just suddenly knew something. He called it, what, a leap in consciousness? He said, call it intuition or what you will, but suddenly you just know something. You don't know how you know. That's intuition. Okay, so he knew something. Then he thought about it. And he did mind experiments where he imagined himself riding on a light beam, or he imagined someone in an elevator, that sort of thing. And he thought about it, and then he wrote about it, and then he did math about it. But all of those flowed from the insight that came from intuition. Okay? But you're not taught about intuition. People don't tell you to follow your intuition. What they do, they tell you to study. Follow this expert, that expert, this leader, that leader, this book, that book, this theory, that theory. See? So, and then they make you sit in school and study for years, decades. Okay? And focus and concentrate. And by the time you're done with all this focusing and concentrating and all this studying, which is boring. See, there's nothing boring about intuition. It's exciting. It's spontaneous. Any truly creative people. See, some people are not truly creative. They sort of imitate. And then other people come up with goofy things. I don't know how that is. They just do. But people who are truly creative, it's always intuition. They just know. See? Well, so you need to refine your intuition. You won't find it in a book. The more studying, if you study too much, you're not likely to find it. Because you're looking in the wrong place for answers. I'll give you the classic example. See, your whole life, you can lead your whole life by intuition. That's what I do. My whole life is by intuition. And it's fun. Okay? And I'm my own person. And I don't have to look to others. See, I can pick other people's brains. See, I read things. I do a lot of reading, actually. But I don't get lost in the reading. I don't concentrate and focus on it. And I don't put the author on a pedestal or the book on a pedestal. I scan for clues. See? And then somehow through my intuition then collates what I've learned and the clues, collates them together, and then I come up with something. See? So So I use the raw materials. If I read some math, some physics, some calculus, some trigonometry, some psychology, some theology, some metaphysics, sociology, I look at the newspaper, I scan for clues. So I know a lot. I know a lot. But I don't look to thinking for answers. I look to intuition. Then I see something. Oh, I see it. I see it. I suddenly understand something. Then maybe I sit down to write about it. Okay? Then a whole bunch comes out. See, I write books. So what I read, what I learn, becomes raw material to be somehow collated. I don't know how does my mind do it? How does the soul collate the material? How do I talk right now? How does this come together? I don't have any script in front of me. It just comes out. Sometimes I realize things as I'm talking. I see something. I realize something new. I intuit something as I'm talking. So your whole life can be that way. Everything you do based on intuition. Everything. See? You see, you can still do research. I do a lot of research. I hear what other people have to say, for example. Yes, I hear what they say. I don't put the person on a pedestal. See, I don't pay attention to their personality. It goes in one ear and out the other, but I hear what they have to say. And after I've heard what everybody has to say, then I see what the answer is. Okay? Maybe soon, maybe later. Sometimes right away, sometimes later. I wait until I know. I wait until I see. That's intuition. See, that's the way you're supposed to live. Then what you do is timely. What you do is fun. What you do is meaningful. What you do is good for you. There's nothing worse than being forced to study something that you really don't enjoy. See? And that way you develop your own talents, your own skills, it's just beautiful. See? And intuition is real good too for starting your business. Finding your line of work. But where intuition really comes in handy is when you're dealing with other people, for example. Okay? Like I've always given the example, if you're talking to your son or your daughter. And it's one of those important moments in life. And if you reach into your intellect for something you read, some parenting theory, some psychology, something you read in a textbook, or something you heard someone say, no matter how great an expert they are, supposedly, you fall flat on your face. Why? Because it's not spontaneous. It's not from the heart. It's not fresh. It doesn't have life in it. It's dead. What did Christ say? He said the letter kills, but the spirit gives life. So it should come from a good spirit within, collating the right words, the right timing. See? And it's not phony. Because your family, they'll be able to tell when you're phony. See, either they can tell when you're phony, they can tell it's dead. They can tell you're just trying to impress them or using something that you read. They see it's not real, it's not alive, it doesn't have love in it. Okay, they see that. But even sadder is if they don't see it. If you've bamboozled them, and you've pressured them, and you've emotionalized them, and hypnotized them, and they look to you and they take what you say hypnotically, then what you've done is you've trained them to ignore their common sense. You've trained them to ignore their intuition. You've trained them to look to you for answers, or your sources, or your experts. See? Rather than their own God-given. See, everything you say and do should validate what they know in their heart. Okay? So as you say it, they see it. and it sits right with their intuition. So that's intuition. So I said, what blocks intuition? I said excessive study, or using study wrongly, using it to build pride, or using it, trying to find answers in thinking. Look to intuition for answers. Now, what else blocks intuition? Well, when you remember, and I said when you study too hard, when you get into it too much. Well, anything you get into too much can block intuition. For example, emotions. Emotions can block intuition. Resentment can block intuition. Dishonesty. See, if you're not completely honest about something, you're hiding a little something, or you're trying to cover something up, or you're asked a question and you don't really know the answer, but you pretend you do, or you do know the answer, but you don't give it because you want to hold it back, or whatever your dishonesty is. Dishonesty separates you from your own good. See, we should flow from principle. Your mind, see, in your mind's eye, your soul should be standing back and operating in the light, not reacting to things on the outside, but looking within to the inner light. And in that light, you see principles. See, and from principles, you then operate. So you serve principles. So everything you do should serve what is true, serve what is right. See, serve principle. Okay? Regardless of the consequences, regardless of the outcome, regardless of personal loss. You set that aside and you say what's true, or you do what's right. Okay? Well, when you have that kind of an attitude, then you're very close to truth. You want to know the truth. You want to express the truth. And so therefore you will, with that kind of an attitude, you will have access to intuition. See? And your whole life will change for the better. You'll stop being phony. You'll start to make better decisions. You start to live more common sensical. You'll be less emotional. See, you'll learn to look to intuition for answers instead of analyzing and pondering and worrying and scheming and see, or looking to someone else. See, you go to different people, you get different answers. Which one is right? Well, maybe none of them are right. See, but that doesn't mean that you can't get help from other people. See, if I need a repair for my automobile, it's not really something I can do myself. Maybe when I was younger, had I learned, okay, been more self-reliant when I was younger, then maybe I would know more about it. But now, basically, especially if it's some big repair, I can't do it, so I go to a mechanic. But with intuition, I can find the right mechanic. I can see which ones are honest, which ones know what they're doing. See? That doesn't mean I won't fall into the hands of the wrong one, but even there I'll learn a lesson. I'll learn some kind of a lesson from it. But see, there are dentists and then there are dentists. Doctors and doctors. There are doctors. See, there are teachers and then there are teachers. There are mechanics and there are mechanics. See, there's a lot of them. So you can find the right ones. Find the one that has common sense, that has skill, that has know-how, and that will do a good and honest job, see? Well, you need your intuition will guide you there also. But if you yourself are dishonest, then you're cut off from intuition, and you'll most likely fall into the hands of one that somehow appeals to your ego in some way. And so I think you get the idea. Well, I should mention this. I don't mention my books enough. I really should mention them more because they're very good. The book I've been reading, I was just reading those little quotes from, is called A weekend with Einstein and Augustine. A weekend with Einstein and Augustine. Okay? The idea is, what if you went to a special seminar held at a beautiful place where they have seminars and, beautiful scenery all around and nice rooms and good food and beautiful conference room. And the seminar is led by Albert Einstein and Augustine. Okay, those two. Wouldn't that be an exciting seminar? Wouldn't the air be filled with a spark of electricity? And wouldn't you learn a lot? And wouldn't it be you'd be inspired by it? It'd be life-changing. Well, that's how I begin this book. Okay? But in the book, I talk about Albert Einstein a lot and his use of intuition. I actually talk about how he used intuition. And I talk about Augustine and how he used intuition or conscience. Okay? And I give a lot of other examples. It's a beautiful book. It's over 400 pages. There's some nice cosmology in here too, physics, so a little bit of religion. Beautiful book. So it's called A Weekend with Einstein and Augustine. Okay? So I hope you get it. It's on Amazon in Kindle and also quality paperback. So are you meditating with my meditation? You really should be. You should give it a try. Have you tried, lately I've been talking to people about becoming aware of their hands. As I'm sitting here right now and talking to you, I'm now aware of my hands. Okay? And my hands begin to tingle just a little bit. Kind of a cozy, tingly feeling. Because I'm aware of them. Well, that makes you a bit more self-composed. Self-contained, composed, and it also helps you to get into the present, to be in the present. Okay. Right now, if you become aware of your hands on the arms of your chair or in your lap or by your side, wherever your arms are, you can be aware of your hands. Okay? One hand or both hands. I'm aware of both hands. Just be aware of your hands, and it brings you into the present. Maybe you can hear a little sound outside, traffic going by or wind. You hear my voice. You're in the present. Now what's good about that? There's very much good about it. You can tell, can't you? If you're following what I'm saying right now and you're in the present. There's something special there, isn't there? It's peaceful. It's peaceful in the present. Well, you need to have that state of mind, that state of being all the time. And a good way to get it started is to be aware of your hands. As you start to do it, it will start to come to you more and more. When you're sitting in a chair, when you're talking to someone, when you're out for a walk, all of a sudden you'll be aware of your hands, or your hands will start to become a little tingly by themselves, and then you notice that they are. Okay? The benefits of being in the present are just tremendous. You can watch my videos or read my books. But that's half the meditation right there. The other half is sitting in a chair, closing your eyes. As you're aware of your hands, also with your eyes closed, look at the inside of your eyelids. It's so simple. I can do it right now. I'm closing my eyes. I'm aware of my hands. I'm looking at the inside of my eyelids, and I see little pixels of light. Little, like a warm glow of light. Little patterns of light. I just watch them on the inside of my eyelids. So now I'm in the present. And And also, I'm not lost in thought. See, thoughts are always trying to snatch you away from the present. Remember, I was talking about intuition, and I said, from intuition, that's where you want to get your answers, wordlessly, what you know in your heart. Okay? It's intuitive, it's gut level. See, it doesn't come from thinking. It doesn't come from being lost in fantasy. See, we're lost in worries. See, all that blocks intuition. So when you come out of your fantasies, your daydreams, planning for the future, reliving the past, thinking about this and worrying about that, and planning for this and scheming for that, when you come out of that to the present, you're aware of your hands, then you're very close to intuition. And if in this state of mind, of being, this meditative state, living it in the present, aware of your hands, now if your son or daughter should approach with a question, I guarantee you'd handle it right. Because you're so close to understanding, that understanding would influence, see, intuition, principle, what's good, what's true, what's honest, what's sweet, what's innocent. You'd have access to that, and it would influence what you say. Even the way you move, the way you talk would be different. You would have understanding, and the other person would sense it. It's very beautiful. Well, this video is much longer than I intended, but it's a good video, good little talk. My name is Rome.